The final seed packet of the year arrived a few days ago. I had been anxiously awaiting its arrival, but it'll have to wait. We have some rearranging to do, a greenhouse to show you, friends to see, and more forest to clear. But first, I need to show you some plants. Look how cute. Stop it. That's adorable. They look good. Not as cute, but cute still. These are pansies / violas. I think they're the giant frizzle that I started a while ago. They were looking really sad, but they've started putting on leaves, so I'm going to throw them to the wolves a bit. They're going to be my little sample babies, my little pilot study. These are feverfew that I started from seed. These look really good. Their roots didn't look as big as I thought they would by now, but they look really good, I think. So those are also going to go to the wolves, as they say. Okay, excuse me, sweeties. Excuse me, guys. Excuse me, everybody. You can't. You cannot. Sorry. So amidst all the snow and the cold that we've been having, I'm calling it a greenhouse. I'm not sure if that's exactly what it is. It needs to hold heat and it needs to hold light. And so far it is doing that for me. It's not perfect and it's still very much a work in progress. I use a lot of scrap wood / junk wood that I have lying around my property and a lot of recycled wood. So it was under $200, which I think is pretty good for what it is. I stored these 2 plants in this greenhouse overnight, but I wanted to show you kind of the soil. This is what it looks like in the greenhouse after a night where we did get some freezing temperatures. These drier bits are definitely frozen because they were very moist, but the contrast to outside the greenhouse is night and day. I mean, I couldn't even move this top layer at all. So I think it's doing pretty good with the heat and light part so far. I have 4 of these half window panes lying around from my house demo and reconstruction. I think they'll fit perfectly on this south-facing wall, which gets the most sunlight. And eventually there would be siding filling in the gaps with these cute windows. I think, trust the vision on this one. I think it's going to be cute. I had one last hole to sort of patch up. I had some plastic that I'd already had and I bought a new roll and it wasn't quite enough. I wrapped the sides of the greenhouse first and then did the top. So hopefully all the water should flow out. If it doesn't, I'm hoping to replace the roof within a year. So this isn't permanent finished project. It's very much a work in progress. I need to start moving some plants out of my house so I can make room for some more. And this is not a channel where I will hide parts of my house because I'm not gonna lie, most of it is very much a work in progress. Okay, I'm not gonna say it's ugly. It's a work in progress. This is my indoor-outdoor, emphasis on the outdoor, tool shed, potting shed / storage area, which is really not aesthetic at all. So now I finally have a place or another structure that I can hide it behind. All of these bottles are probably about 1/4 of the bottles that I have found clearing out this property. I know that there are more because I have found more and I've just left them in situ. I've left them in place. And my grandmother told me to save all of them and I listen to my elders. I've never worked with glass. I don't have a plan for them, but she told me to save them. So what Nana wants, Nana gets. So I finally have a place to hide all these pots. I'm hoping to not really acquire more. I kind of want to cap the amount that I have at what I have because there's already so many. I can't even imagine having to deal with more plastic pots and I just don't have the heart to throw them away. Like I want to use them all up, but I know that's not realistic. So I'm going to be working through clearing out this area, hopefully making it look good. This area gets full shade in the spring and summer, so it's going to be my little shade garden. Next up, I've been working on planning my garden, figuring out how much of each seed I need to sow. That's one of the things I didn't do so well last year. I just sowed a bunch of things and then had a bunch of plants and then didn't want to get rid of the plants that I'd worked so hard to grow. So this year I'm trying to be more conservative, and part of that means making a good solid plan. So this area is honestly a very, very big waste of space in prime real estate. It's prime real estate in the summer because it gets full sun, and not all of my yard gets full sun. I did a little sunlight study of my garden last year on May 22nd, and you can kind of see how the sun changes. So I'm working on a very limited footprint. I know people have lots smaller than I do, but I'm working on a very small footprint, and on top of that, I only have so much areas with sunlight. My front yard gets lots of sunlight, but I don't really like filming myself out there, and I like being able to look out my office window during the day and see beautiful things. So I really want this back area to be as pretty and as productive as it possibly can. So as I was thinking through and planning, I sort of realized that I don't have place for my dahlia seedlings, which I've been starting from seed already. More as a test and a trial. Everything I'm doing on this channel is pretty much an experiment, and I'll definitely share more about them later. They're growing pretty big, so I'm pretty pleased with how it's going, but I needed an area to put all of my dahlia seedlings, and with the current area that I have, I just didn't have space for them. So that was kind of the main catalyst for me trying to rework this top plateau area. My whole garden is on a slope, so everything slopes down away from the house. I don't have any pooling or puddling that happens, which is really great. So I kind of had this idea of making these small little cutout beds with very, very narrow pathways, because I don't really care about a good pathway. I don't own a wheelbarrow. I don't have far to go. I want to maximize what I'm planting, and I don't need this huge blank area right in front of my house where I get the most sunlight in the summer. So I think that's where I'm going to put a lot of my vegetables, and then off to the side on the right is where I'm going to put all of my dahlia seedlings. This area gets mostly sunlight, but it also gets some shade, and we have really, really, really hot summers, so I think dahlias with a little bit of shade might be okay. We're going to try it out. We're going to see. The positive is if they're kind of in a no-dig bed, I could always lift them and move them somewhere else if I really needed to, if they're really struggling. So as always, I'm using garden wood scraps that I have around from the greenhouse build and just around. I'm not putting anything in place because I really wasn't sure if I even liked this by the end of the first day. I was really second guessing myself, but luckily Mother Nature came through with a gift, and that gift was snow. So we had a surprise snow last night, but I feel like you can see the vision much better. I think that looks good. I think I have a daisy right there and a daisy right there, a Shasta daisy. I think they need to be moved, and then we can have a nice line like that, and that will make those look less dinky and more purposeful, I guess, and give more room, obviously, because I don't need all this. Who needs walkways anyways, So I think these were good decisions. That was a good decision. Yesterday I was really starting to doubt it, but I like it. And then this, I think I want that bigger. That's going to be the dahlia seedling area, and I just didn't want it to be so that I couldn't get to whatever was in the middle, but I think it'll be okay if I bump it out to 3 feet. Yeah. The snow is actually helping. Yeah, come on. Don't be a wuss. Come on. Yeah. Come on. So in case you missed it, in my previous video, I sowed a bunch of native seeds in this like winter gardening method, but I didn't water them in because we were going to get really, really, really low temperatures the night that I sowed them. So I actually went in the next day and put some snow on top of them. That melted. Then we got some more snow. So I wanted to add some more moisture so that they're kind of getting what's happening outside and that they don't dry out too much. Now that spring is officially on its way, I know it's only the end of January, but I was looking at videos from my garden last year at the end of February, and the clock is ticking. Time is happening, and our 10-day forecast shows temperatures just like going up, just like bumping up a notch, and I think that's just going to keep happening. Obviously, we'll get the crazy fluctuations and the days where you wake up and it's like below freezing outside, and then by the end of the day, you like want to wear a tank top, and then 2 hours later the sun sets and you're freezing cold again. Like, we're going to get those days. That's just what happens. With the temperature being so and the climate being so unpredictable, stuff like that is going to happen. We might get like a crazy cold April or May, but in general, spring will come. Summer will be here, and they're both on their way. And I really want to get this forest cleared out. If you're new here, my name's Leela. I'm 20-something gardening and growing flowers on about a quarter of an acre, but half of that quarter acre ivy-filled forest. In the US, the ivy that we have is actually highly invasive, as you can probably see in the clips of my forest. It's just all green, which looks really nice, but it's all ivy. And right now the ivy is dormant because it's winter, but as we start ticking up in temperature, it's going to start waking up again. And when ivy wakes up, you can cut it back and cut it back and cut it back, but it's just going to pop right back up the next week. It's crazy good at spreading and taking over everything. So I kind of have this narrow window where I can sort of make a dent in it right now. And I kind of feel the clock ticking a bit. My goal was to have a lot of this area cleared out by the end of February, which just feels like this huge, daunting task. I've never had to deal with ivy at this scale really at all. And my garden, when it was overgrown, but it did not have ivy like this. So I'm a little worried and a little scared. And I wanted to have it cleared out by the end of spring for the ivy and the dormancy thing, but also so that I could let whatever is underneath the ivy, if there are any other plants, which I know there are, whatever that seed bank is underneath that ivy, I kind of wanted to give it a season to grow so that I could see what's underneath there, what might be hiding, what I want to keep, what I don't want to keep. So that's my tentative goal. I'm only sharing it because I think sometimes we set these high, scary goals for ourselves that, you know, when we're thinking about it, it's like, oh, no problem, we'll get it done. It's no big deal. And then you're faced with it and it feels daunting and overwhelming. As I was sitting there moving around these bricks, I kept finding bricks in the ground. I had just looked back at some of my old footage that I took of my garden the previous year in February, and I had this massive stick pile, basically right next to where the greenhouse is now. It was huge, and in my head, I don't think I remembered how big the stick pile was. I think I blocked it out mentally. Because when it was in my garden, I would try to not see it because it was just so, like, I didn't want to look at it. But that stick pile was all the things that I had cleared out of my garden to have the garden that I have now. Like, it was all overgrown. All those sticks, twigs, trees, I hand sawed, chopped, raked, and threw in that pile, and then had to sort through the pile and deal with the sticks. My brother did help me with that at a certain point. I went away for a little bit and he kind of helped me with some of the larger tree trunks and stuff, but I basically cleared a lot of the garden myself. I would just spend days and hours just chipping away at it. And I sort of did the same thing with the stick pile. I just spent time chipping away at it. And I sort of had that like that video that I had of me with the stick pile fresh in my brain. So when I was having these doubts about clearing the forest, I remembered that stick pile, and I was like, oh, like I looked around at the forest and I was like, oh, there's not nearly as many sticks over here. Like there are, but it's like, I was like, okay, well, if I did that, I can totally do this. Maybe not in the timeline I set for myself, but having a goal and having a deadline is something that I think helps me stay structured and stay on task. So I feel like it's might be frustrating to watch me clear a lot of the stuff by hand, but I kind of have my own reasons. I keep a lot of the sticks and a lot of the weeds and a lot of the leaves because I have these garden friends, these little skinks and lizards, and they do a great job for me keeping my slugs and snails in check. I find them every time I'm digging through a pile of leaves or getting around a root ball of a tree or a root. That's where they're tucked in and that's where they're hiding to stay warm. So I want to encourage them. I want to keep them around. I love finding them. They're like little garden surprises, and they help me not have too many problems with the slugs and snails. So I try to clear by hand, especially when I'm in areas I think they might be, so that I can make sure that they are happy and healthy and live really long lives for me and kill all the little bugs that I don't want. So with my stick pile fresh in mind, I decided to start tackling these vines. I had no idea what they were. I still don't know exactly what they are, but I think they're actually a type of grape, which I wouldn't be opposed to having a type of grape. They might even be a native grape. But the way that they are spreading and have spread throughout not just my property, but all the surrounding ones, makes me want to get rid of them like as soon as possible. Let me know if you have any big goals that you're kind of scared of. Or if you've ever done something like this before and have any advice on how to get rid of ivy. I'm just a single cat lady trying her best to have a nice garden and grow pretty flowers and grow some food for myself and my family, my parents and my brothers. If you've enjoyed me ranting and raving about my garden and you want to see the progress of me clearing this lot next to my house and clearing this forest and finding out what's underneath all this ivy, maybe it's nothing or maybe it's gold, maybe it's amazing, wonderful, beautiful wildflowers and plants and wonderful native grapes that the birds love, and it's just going to be a wildlife oasis. Who knows? If you're interested in watching the process, stick around, like, subscribe, let me know what you'd like to see more of if you have any questions, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for being here. Oh, the seed packet, of course. These are ranunculus seeds. Ranunculus is in the buttercup family, and ranunculus are a very popular cut flower. They're normally grown from corms, which I opened also in my native seed unboxing video. They're not native, but I had gotten them at the same time as the native seeds. But I have been waiting on these ranunculus seeds. This is not the time of year for me to plant them, but I'm going to try anyways. I'm going to have fun. We're going to see what we can do. And I'm going to start them. I'm going to start my ranunculus corms, so that will hopefully be in a video coming up next week at some point. So like and subscribe if you want to see what's going on with me in my garden. I'm going to try to post every week at least a few times, but yeah, have a great day. Stay warm out there, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.